Full screen. Okay, there we go. So our next talk is about from open science goals to technical implementation, enabling sustainable data sharing for a research team. This is Riva Quiroga, who is an SSI fellow, research fellow at OLS, and an RSC at Tabula, who took a 14-hour plane to get here. So thank you very much for coming, Riva. So yeah, this talk's probably, I would summarize it as, what do you get when you cross a 5.5 million row data set, expertise in R and Shiny, with RSE thinking? And I think this talk will tell us.
Thank you, Samantha. I'm going to check if this is working. Yes. Okay, so thank you everyone for being here. My name is Riva Quiroga. With my friend and colleague Joshua Cruz, we participate in this project. We're based in Chile, the long and thin country in South America. And you probably be wondering, is RSE a thing in Chile? Obviously it is, because I'm here now. But we don't have the label RSE for people who do things like the things we do. And in the life cycle of a research project, for example, funded by the National Agency of Development and Research, people can hire technical staff, but usually it's someone that is going to be, like a research assistant or maybe a PhD student or a postdoc. But you can also have funding for requesting someone to come into your project and help you solve some tasks, like being an RSE as a service that you can provide. And this is how many of us are like freelance RSEs. So in this context, a group of researchers approached us and they asked them to help them with this project. They want to create a Shiny app to share the research data they have been collecting in the past 3 years. So what does this data look like? So they were analyzing the generation of knowledge, scientific knowledge in a specific field. So they have metadata from research articles, 600,000 research articles. And what they were doing is analyzing collaboration networks between authors. So on the one side, we have like their goals of going through this project. They want to create this Shiny app to do some outreach and also to align with open science goals in terms of sharing what they've been doing using public funds. And on the other side, we as RSE need to think about the sustainability of what we were going to develop in terms of technical sustainability, financial, are also organizational, because we want to sleep at night. We want to do like good things are going to be running in the long run. So for creating the Shiny apps, we have to take these two things and balance them in a way. So for them, so they send us this big data frame that it has like 5.5 million rows. And the first things that we have to do is trying to manage expectation about, you can have a Shiny app with 5.5 million rows. This is too much data to put into a Shiny app. So, and it was actually difficult to make it run in a computer, like 8 RAM computer, it wasn't like working properly. So the first thing that we have to do is like take this big data frame and turning it into, for example, a relational database. But one thing here is that when doing this, we are changing the way the researchers are thinking about their data, because from them, their data is a data frame. And we're turning this into something else that is useful from the computational side of things, but we're changing the way they're thinking about their data. And this is, I'm going to come back to this later. This solving part, the problem of the size of the data we need to put into the Shiny app, but it was still not enough to have like a Shiny app that is going to be like running properly. So we have to revisit the goals with them and understand that one thing is outreach, another different thing is open science. So for outreach, what they wanted to do is giving the people the tools for exploring the data and the results they create. And here they were thinking about like a broader audience, like policymakers, people that are interested in the topic. And for them, a Shiny app was a very good idea. But on the other side, if you want to allow reuse and you want to other researchers to use what you built before, maybe the Shiny app is not the best option. And maybe you have to think in something else. For example, taking your data, creating, for example, a data package in R because they were using R, or depositing your data in Zenodo or some other platform. So here we split like the original product, we split it in two so we can achieve both goals. And regarding the Shiny app, what the Shiny app does, it's strange to show a Shiny app in a PDF, but so here you have like the main view that have like this, some stats about the data that has inside. And then you can, for example, select, I'm going to remove the OK thing because this is like, sorry. There's some things there. And you can select, for example, the fields, and you have some like visualizations for that. You also have like geographic information, and you can click any panel to like have them maximize the visualizations and then close them down. But one thing that was happening that is that the side panel allows you to choose year, field. If you select a region, you can select a country and even explore a specific affiliation in the data. But what they were exploring were collaboration networks, and that level of granularity, when we tried to create like the networks and calculate the metrics, it was too much for a Shiny app. So we have to like rethink this process because it was like breaking the Shiny app. So we decided to restrict the options to allow the users less granularity when it gets to like the options for creating the networks. And we have some pre-computed tables of the networks metrics. So we only have to load the tables and not calculating things inside the Shiny app. So in this part of the app, they can choose like 5-year periods and only one top field to create like all the metrics. So now we have solved some things regarding like what they want, but we need to think about the sustainability of the project. And in terms of the financial sustainability, sometimes we only think about how much something will cost. But in research projects, we also need to think about the when, like when you can invest the money, because you usually have a deadline. And in this case, they have money, for example, because their university was not providing them the server. They have money, for example, to have like a Shiny app paid tier, but the issue is that you can pay for those services only 1 year in advance. So maybe they can pay now, but in 1 year, the app will be broken because it wouldn't work because they can't spend money again in the project. So one thing that we have to thought about was, okay, we will try to make this thing work in the free tier app, but this free tier app only have 25 active hours of operation. And one of the user case was teaching. So if your class is on the 25th of the month, probably like all the hours will be gone. So we decided to put the Shiny app inside a package. So if you wanted to use it in your class, people can use it in their computers, or they're not consuming like the hours. And in terms of maintenance, what we have to thought is that obviously here we jump into a project, but the tools that we create are going to last way longer than we in the project. So what we need to thought for this to be maintainable is what do they know how to do? So we can create a workflow that will be useful for them in the future. So they know how to create this big data set. So in the future, if they want to add data from new journals, what we did is we put all the code for pre-processing, not inside the repository of the Shiny app, but in a different one. So now the workflow, if they in the future, they want to update the data frame, what they have to do is to take the data frame through a workflow of like some pre-processing in one repository, and the Shiny app and the data package will consume that. So if they know how to create the original data set, they will know how everything will be worked through the next steps in the future. We haven't tested yet because they haven't updated, so we're crossing fingers that this will work. And we will be launching soon, I think in the next few weeks. It's in beta yet, and if all of you go there, it will probably crash. So thank you very much. If you have any questions.
Thank you so much for that talk. Let's bring up the Slido there. Okay. So I think I've seen this problem a lot where you've got a researcher who has sort of, they've got their staff budget, but they've got a very, very limited budget for consumables or server time or anything like that. So this seems like, one possible way of handling that. Were there any sort of problems that you encountered when packaging this as a Shiny app with people accessing it? Was it just as accessible as kind of something that would be web-based, or were there things that you think maybe you could do differently in future around that?
So the idea of having it like one version that is web-based for people to access, like everyone who wants, like the outreach part, but having it also in a package was, the idea was if someone wants to teach using this Shiny app, they can like use it through the package. So they're not consuming like the hours of the app online. So that's why we kind of split the two audiences.
Thank you. Now there are some questions through on Slido, so that's great. So first one is from Carlos. Why did you choose Shiny for your tech stack? Did you consider other options?
Yeah, we didn't choose it. It was like their option. They wanted to use Shiny, so we have to comply with the requirements.
Okay, so a requirement there. Okay, do you have issues keeping data in sync between the repo and the Shiny app?
So we're still documenting the workflow, but when we tested it is working. So at some point, if they want to upload a new data frame, there's like there's instructions of which scripts need to be triggered, so everything gets like updated like a consequence of the previous one. But someone has to launch that. Yeah.
For the case of students using the tools locally, what resources or dependencies do they need locally? And how reproducible is it?
So because it's inside a package, like when you install the package that has the Shiny app inside, it will install all the dependencies. So it should work like out of the box.
Okay. Thank you so much, Riva. Round of applause, please.